So quickly answer the questions here. First moment business decision in the chat. Hope I'm audible. What does it capture? First moment business decision captures first business moment captures what? Hmm? Am I audible? Hope I'm audible. I'm asking, am I audible or not? Yes, you are not responding? Okay. What the first moment decision captures? It captures mean, median, and mode. It is also called as, you call that you are measuring the centrality, right? Measures of central tendency. What is an outlier? What is an outlier? Yes. Extreme value, what you have in the data set, right? Extreme value, which is there in the data set, you call it as outliers. And that does not follow, that will be away from your regular pattern. It's not outside the data, it's within the data only, but it is away from the data. Can mode be applied to continuous data? Can we apply mode to continuous data? And one more thing, Vijay, Vaibhav, Shruti, survey submitted for module 1. Others didn't submit module 1 assignment. When are you going to do? Shall I check now? After this quiz, I'll check. Why are you not submitting? You don't want to do the project? You have to submit. I'm telling you, 80% of the completion of assignments is required so that you have to do the project. Okay. We do apply mode to continuous data, right? So we can consider numeric data and we can look into the frequency of the numeric data. But if we have any value which might be repeating again and again, that becomes mode. But preferably, we don't go for such an option. Maybe if you have, maybe it's not that accurate when you apply mode on continuous data, numeric data, right? Measures of dispersion is capturing what aspect from the data set? What it does tell you? Measures of dispersion will tell you about what? It tells about the spread of the data. How is the data got spread? Right? It is a spread of the data. What is an expected value? Expected value is also called as weighted average. It is the average of the probability distribution. If at all, if I have the historical data, I calculate the average on the historical data. So if I can tell what might happen on an average, if I can conclude it beyond my case, right? Still, if you have average in future, what will happen should be expected. So if any experiment is continuously conducted for infinite number of times, continuing the experiment on an average, you expect to be the summation of the outcome, the event multiplied by the probability, right? Sigma x into p of x. Sigma, this is the formula for expected value. Okay, now what is the degrees of freedom? Degrees of freedom is nothing but the choice that we have on variables. If you have n records, we say that you have n minus 1 variables, and you have to compromise on one record, and that record, like, it's a constant. We don't have any option of choosing it. I'll not have freedom of choice for that, right? So it is basically applying some business condition to get the desired output. So in such a case, we are applying some logic to the predict this. You have to make sure that certain conditions are also considered, constraints are also there. So making sure the conditions are applied, we are sacrificing on choosing a variable by taking one value as constant. How do you calculate standard deviation? Standard deviation is calculated. If you calculate variance, you do square root of variance. That will give you standard deviation. Now tell me, what is the notation of mean? We have two notations, right? For population and for sample. Right? If I write, let me write it properly. If I write mean and variance and standard deviation. So for population, you calculate it as mu. For sample, it is x bar. Variance, sigma square. Standard deviation is sigma. For sample, it is s square and it is s. So these are called as sample statistics, and these are called as population parameters. Can anyone tell me the variance definition? I told you yesterday. It is nothing but the average of what? Squared distances of each data point with the center. Right? Average of the square distances of each data point with center. What is the variance for probability distribution? How do you calculate variance for probability distribution? So how do you say it is distribution? Simply, you just calculate anyway that sigma will be there because it's expected value. You have the formula here, x minus mu whole square, right? P of x. Same formula. Now, how do you identify an outlier in your data set? How do you identify an outlier in the data set? If mean and median are different, then you have to something comes into your mind that they are not, there is some kind of outlier data existing in your data set. Okay, are you able to recollect something? You have to answer. It's not that I am only going on speaking. Right? So this is our RStudio environment. Yesterday I asked you to install R. Did everyone do it? Did everyone install? Vijay, Vaibhav, Shruti, Sarvesh, everyone. Okay. Is it working? In your LMS, you have the code. You can download that code. Right? Let me show you. When you open this, you have the R code, you have the data sets. You can download it from here. Right? You can download it from here. Did you start executing? Oh, very good. So this is our environment. So we did mean, median, mode is done, and we did till range. Now we should understand what is skewness. Before understanding skewness, you should understand some plots. Some visualization plots are required for us, right, to understand. So whenever, what did I tell you yesterday? You can even work with the data sets which are available in inbuilt R, right? Inbuilt R. So how do you do that? If you want to work with any of the data sets, here, first you have to do data. How do you run it? You go for run command. So these are the data sets. And if I write data, open it, and I want to go for air passengers, right? So how do I do? This is a data set, right? In double quotes. What happened to this? Data set air passengers not found. Okay, let me try with why it is not found. Yeah, orange. See here, it should be like this. See, when you do this, right? When you just write data of orange here, what happens? You can see in the environment here in values. See, if I remove using this broomstick, everything got vanished. Now I execute this line of code. You can see here it is in promise. Unless and until you just click on it, right? Unless and until you just click on it, then only you can see the data here. So if you just click here also, it will show that you are viewing the data. View of orange, right? View of right. So it is, we don't know what the data is all about. So what you have to do, you can go for help here, right? Write orange. I think it should be capital O. So it is talking about the growth of orange trees here. You have 35 rows, 3 columns of the record of this. So what are these columns are talking about? That particular details are given here in your help. Okay, it's given in your help. One more thing what you can do is you can even do a question mark and write whatever is required for us. Question mark also will give you help directly here. It will work for your help condition. So what does the data contain? Right? It has numbers, right? So You can even check it using str. If you write str of caps, right, orange, so it will give you the information. What are the variables it has got? It has tree, it has got age and circumference. When you see here, you have numeric, but the tree column here, right, the tree column here is 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5, right? So it is showing that it has got 5 levels, right? It has got 5 levels. That means it is converted into a factor type. So whenever it shows like this, it means that how many levels are there. If you have benign and malignant, right? If you have benign and malignant, what is that? 2. It will show you 2 levels. Setosa versicolor virginica, right? It will show you how many levels. If you go for another data set, Titanic, run it. So it is in PROMIS. You click on it. It is in which format here? See here, it is in table format. So it's still in values only. Though you viewed it, it is still in this. If what you can do, you have to convert. What it is talking about, it has got class, male and female. So to view it, because it is not popping up for us, it has got class, sex, age, survived and frequency. So we don't know about it. What we can do? We can click here. Right? It's giving you the information. What it is talking about. Right? So what is the data here? It is about 2201 observations with 4 variables. Right? It is 2201. So to convert, actually now it is in which format? Table format. Right? It is in table format. How will you know that which is which format? Because it is showing you in this environment, it is table format. So what you can do here is you can convert the existing data type into your data. What data, anything you want to work upon with any data set you want to work, it should be converted to a data frame. Right? It should be converted into a data frame. So what you do here, you just give a name, Titanic. This is your assignment operator. You want to assign or you're creating any object. This is how you have to do it. Right? So what you want to do, you want to convert into data frame. As dot data dot frame. Right? So what is that I want to do? I want to work with Titanic. Right? Run it. Now you got your Titanic here, which became your data frame. See in the environment here, global environment. Okay, now you can work. Now if you write here, so if you see the data set here, this is no data frame. This is your table format. It looks like, but you can't work on it because here it is not able to read in environment. And now what you have to do is you want to any data set which is loaded as data frame, and now you should understand what is a factor. Factor is a data type given for categorical data. Now you have how many type here? 2 categories, 3. Here it is survived, no or yes. You have for child and adult. Here male and female. Right? So only 2 possible values are there here. Male, female, child, adult, no and yes. So when I take Titanic data, we can infer here that sex, age, survived, all these are categorical. right? What is numeric here? You can only apply it on frequency. Whatever numeric part you want to apply, you can apply only on that frequency part. Okay, now to know the structure here, now if you do str of small t, right? See how many levels were there here for sex, male and female, right? For child and adult. By default, it is showing you no and yes. And even in class, we have 3, crew, 1 and 2, 4 levels. So categorical data will be assigned like this, right? Categorical data will be assigned like this. And see here, we are not giving, we are not converting, right? By default, it is taking here. It will throw 1 and 2, right? How many levels are there here? Okay. Child, child, child and adult. So if you want to work here, what you have to do, you have to work with convert into data frame, and then you have to work. And if you want to do any numerical and like analysis on the data, you only work with frequency. You can do mean or median or table. Table can be done here. So what does table give you here? Tell me, yesterday I told you table of Titanic, right? I should use dollar symbol and I want to check where? On sex. So you got the table. It will give you the breakup here. It will work for categorical data also, table. If you do same table, right? Titanic, dollar, and frequency. So this will give you the breakup like this. Total data, how many zeros are there? How many ones are there? How many threes are there? Right? This is the table. So you can do even, now I don't want to use dollar. So what I have to do, which command? Attach. You have to attach your data set. So run it. Now I can directly work. I need not use dollar symbol. Directly I can do variance, right? Which column? Frequency column. This is a variance of the frequency. So if what is the command for standard deviation? ST is the command for your standard deviation. So if you don't use attach, what happens? You should use like this. Put the dollar symbol and use it. Got it? Suppose now you if you have like this, I have an object here X. Okay, I'm just combining so many different colors. Suppose red, right? This is one more color. Blue. Okay, and I can give, okay, 3 are enough. So I'm executing this line of code. Right now, if you see structure of X, what it is showing? It is showing it as a character type, red, green, and blue. Now what I do, I use a command same with object X. I use as dot factor, right? And I'm converting it into factor now, right? So what will be the answer now? If you do structure of X, it shows you it has got 3 levels. So if you observe here, yes and no. By default, this became, and this is showing you. So R is giving you by default that it is a categorical data, so I have to convert it into a factor. It is displaying you here. So these are not given by us. If at all you are converting here, see blue, green and red. It is giving you, it has got 3 levels, it is giving you 3. Right? So first what it should come? It's giving you in the reverse order. Right? Just hold for a minute. Okay. So you have 3 levels. You can convert it like this. Okay. Now, so now if you have to understand, right, any, now I'll show you one data set right now. Yeah, this is the data set. So let me know, right, what is the minimum qualification mark here? Just look at the data and tell me the minimum value. 773 observations, right? It is tough for us, time taking also. What if you have 7 million records? So what you have to do is you have to go and understand using visualizations. Then it would be easy to find out just by looking at the image. So we can say that first visualization, what we can do is, we can understand here is bar plot. Right? You should understand this at bar plot. So how will you write bar plot? In R, it's very easy, right? It is bar plot, right? Bar plot of what you want to see? Titanic data set. In that, you want to go for frequency. See here, you have the bars. Suppose if I have a very clumsy, like just now I showed you an MBA data set, right? Okay, could not read underscore CSV. Let us do this. Read the data set. Now what I do? I have to do bar plot of GMAT. So I didn't attach the data set. So MBA dollar GMAT. Okay, it is not MBA. It is, sorry, education. Right, the name of the, here you can see in the environment, right? This is a data set. How clumsy it is. I'm not saying that something can be understood, but it's very clumsy, not clear. So what it is? Representation of the student marks, right? So you are only doing GMAT score. So on one axis, you have the observation, and one axis you have the numbers, right? So what do you understand here? Y-axis is will your values here. So this is nothing but univariate graphs here, single visualization, right? So now if you want to do now bar plot of this frequency, it is like this, black and white, right? So what you have to do, you have to even add colors to it, right? Rainbow, family of colors, where you can use 30 different shades here, right? What you have to do is, you have to just put one COL color equal to rainbow 30. See, it's colorful now. Right? And you, if you want this particular graph, right, in different way, horizontal way, so you can put it as you want horizontal equal to true. It will turn like this. Y axis has the count, X axis has the values. Okay, now the same visualization, which is same like univariant, only one, for one column only we are doing, we can do a dot chart. So dot chart of what data set? Education data set. Referring to what column? 3 are there, so I refer to GMAT column, right? Now tell me, what do you understand by this? Oh, what happened to this? Let me execute one more time. It's taking time. Let's wait. Now here each visualization is given by dot. Right? See here. Right? You have to observe here only. I'm unable to zoom it. Don't know why. Maybe 1 minute. Previously anything is open. Okay. See here, two people here. These two guys. 1, 2, and these two. See the concentration of the data? What do you understand here? Maximum number of people are resorting from here to this place. Till here, but these three are very, very, very clumsy. Little bit less here. Right? So you could get some idea here. People who scored 710 maximum, only 2 students 600. Right? So majority scored between 710 to 750, we can say. Right? So even this can be done colorful. Right? This can be understood colorful. So what I do, I just put comma. You have an option of color also. Right? Color is equal to what you want? Rainbow. So how many you want? 5. I think I have to restart my R. See here, it is colored. So you can even assign it to a variable and run it. So the visualizations, what we are discussing only with single variables. One axis is empty. Right? One axis is empty. Only one is there. Right? Then you have histogram plot. Hist. Right? Whatever you want to do, this histogram will help us to do. Like better visualization. Any analysis. Same thing you do with education. I did not write, right? Dollar GMAT. Right? Histogram. So what is this? This is called as bins. Right? This is called as bins. So what did we observe there? We observed that 600 number people, only 2 people are there. So the frequency is here. Right? And the height of the bar here. Right? From 700 to, if it is 600, this might be some 625. Right? 645, 650. 660, like that. If you cross this gap have got highest frequency. So what is this called as? This is called as bin, and this is the bin size. The count is represented on y-axis, and if you see here, each bin is assumed they are 620, 640. So the size of the bin is 20. Why it is taken as 20? So what inferences you can draw here? You are able to understand that people scored more, right? Maximum student score is 710, right? You can also understand that it's nothing but it's giving you the frequency, just like your probability formula. Outcome by total number of chances, right? So frequency by total will give you the probability. So histogram is representing the frequency distribution, but the visualization you're talking is a probability distribution. So the probability to calculate the students who scored marks from 600 to 620, right? 600 to 620. How do you calculate? 600 minus 620 by total. Right? Now what is the frequency? Frequency is your numerator. Ignoring the denominator, you are doing the visualization. So if I divide this frequency, which is in the numerator, by total, if I do this, frequency by total, that will give me the density. Nothing but the probability. But if you see here the density plot, right? If you see the density plot, the representation will be same, but the axis will change because it is frequency by total. It will give you the density, right? You can also give here, and this bin size what you are taking here, it will be different for different calculations, like different data sets, right? And it will not be 20 always. You can also give a, right, histogram. What data set you have? Education, right? Dollar, you have GMAT. Now what is A now? This is giving you the density also. It is giving you breaks, it is giving you counts, it giving you density, mids for what you have calculated, and it is histogram. It's internally doing all those things. And now what you have to explore here is how you are deciding that break should be only 20. See the breaks here, 600, 620, 640. Why it is only 20? Right? Why it is only that much? Why it is not like 10, 15 or anything? Okay, you should do that. That's task for you. So only A is giving you so much. You can even add colors to it. So it's just like you have to understand that people are very few people like scored 600 to this 620, no, it's 640. And people scored more than 750, very less. Now what will you do by understanding this? You can put a cutoff mark and you can say that people who scored more than 750, I'll give you a scholarship. And people, we will just think about giving scholarship to the people who score, like you can't say 700 and 710. Your budget will not be sufficient, right? So to take any decision, because yesterday I gave you an example, right? If I am the owner of the university and I want to the best of the best students, right, with the minimum cutoff mark also I want, because I can't take every who why they have to join your university, because you have to give them scholarships. And if you take people who are very good and too good, excellent people, you will not afford to provide scholarship to all those people, because then you will go into losses. You want profits also, so you have to set up a cutoff mark in such a way that choose a cutoff mark in such a way that it you should not go into losses, and you want the best of the best students also, right? And if you take very weak students, they'll give you very good donations, but what happens there, if they give you donations and they join, your reputation of your institution also will go, because they'll not study, ultimate the pass percentage will go down, right? So for such decisions to be taken, it is very much important for us to sit and do analysis on the data. But doing the analysis based on the stats, we have to go for visualizations which will give you a better insights rather than working with stats. Are you getting my point? Right? Now, why we stuck at that third business moment, right? Third business moment, bar plot. This is your histogram, what I showed you, right? It is nothing but how many observations will take the value within a certain interval. This is your frequency, these are your GMAT marks. If you observe here, see the density is same, the shape is same, but only the axis values got changed, because nothing but frequency by total is giving you the density. Right, now let us talk about skewness. So skewness and kurtosis, they are third and fourth moment decisions, right? They are called as shape statistics, right? What are they called? They are called as shape statistics. right? So this gives us shape. If you have like this is your center, right? Equal this way and equal this way. This and this is equal. You call such curve as symmetric. We know equal on both sides from the center. If this is 0, suppose this side and this side, the symmetric is 0. Both are symmetrical. If you cut at the middle, the center is even on both the sides. What if you have like this? Okay, let me draw it properly. And this is my center. Such graphs, such visualizations, is it symmetric? It's not, right? So this skewness, which is the third business moment, it is capturing the asymmetry in the data. The measure of asymmetry in the distribution is skewness. Then it will quantify the asymmetry. And the formula here is to the power of 3. X minus mu by sigma to the power of 3. Expected value. So if someone asks you what is skewness, it is asymmetry in the distribution. It is third business moment decision. So symmetry wave or symmetric curve will have a skewness is 0. And if you see here, if I just draw this, if I join all the corners, right? These are your, this is called as tail, right? This is, see now, how is the data here? This is called as tails, right? If it is normal means you get equal tails, right? This side and this side. So this is also a tail. We join, this is tail and this is also a tail, right? You call it as long tail. This is called as long tail. Here this is not that much, but here if you see it's very long. So by using this skewness, we would talk about the weird pattern of the data, exceptions about the data. It's just like, let me give you an example. It's like unpopular products, right? So you have the Netflix accounts. So what happened with Netflix is earlier they used to rent CDs and DVDs, and now they are in such a great position due to this particular position. Now they have developed themselves into such a big company. So what is the reason behind their success? Right? They analyzed what kind of customers are trying to watch, what kind of movies in what areas. They found the data, they plotted a histogram like this. This is, they assume that this is they have got after doing analysis, this type of graph. Peak. So where the maximum number of people that are showing interest when they looked into the data. So here that what they observed is that this is a peak, this is a tail. Peak people like they love to watch movies like blockbuster movies, like all are generic audience, normal any release into the market they would like to watch, or the people who are what we say top heroes movies. Okay, now tell me, do you think that these Netflix people have considered on peaks or tails? And why you are saying that answer? What is, I told you that they have started their business by renting the DVDs or CDs. Now they have grew to such a big position. But do you think when they started renting the DVDs, did they concentrate on tail products or peak products? Tell me. First is that, if you concentrate on the peak, now you are opening a supermarket at your nearby your home. Suppose you are still starting the business, right? Whom do you think that it is a good thing? Because you have to check with the competition. No, Meha, it is they what did they do? Rather than concentrating on the peak, they concentrate on the tails. What would have happened if they have concentrated on peak? Heavy competition, right? Prices, the war between the prices begins. And if you give for less price, you will enter into losses. If you got less price, because to stand up in the business, we have to give for less price. So either we enter into losses or we try to decrease the quality. The quality will not be maintained. So rather than doing this, what did they do? They started concentrating on these tail. These are less popular product, I can say, less popular movies, or the people are not willing to watch movies that much. Exceptional crowd. They went back into the data. They found about the crowd. They did analysis of this tail product people. What they found is that they are very good. They even like to watch movies, but they don't like this blockbuster and all that. They love to watch this documentary movies, right? Horror movies, some different people. So the service providers also will not care about these long tail products. So what happened when the people love to watch such movies and they are not available and you are giving them, what you can do? First thing is you can quote any kind of price you want, and people have interest to watch this kind of movies. So this is where the establishment of the business started, right? They started supporting this special kind of crowd. Slowly now they are ruling. So these are nothing but your outliers, but outliers are also important for us. They should never be neglected. They are special, more exceptions. Maybe they will help us to give more value added to your data. So these peak people, any utter flop movie also will come. They will watch because they have the movie phobia. They'll not go anywhere. But these people, these are important for us. Though it is a tail, they are important for us. So asymmetry will help you to understand these kind of details. So how do you know this? You have to know the skewness, calculate the skewness of the data to understand the exceptions in your data, right? So if you have long tail is towards right side, you have the outliers. Then you call it as positive skewed or right skewed, right? If it is vice versa, right? Left side you have long tail is towards left side. It is left skewed. Simple. Here don't get confused. It is written in opposite. It implies mass of the distribution is constant on the right. That's what I told you. Negative skewness means you have left side tail. Right now this is you have right side, it's called as positive skewness. Now let's talk about kurtosis. Kurtosis also comes under shape statistics. This is fourth moment business decision. Right now, what is it? It measures about the peaks. Right, we know that first moment will talk about mean, second moment is talking about the spread, third moment is talking about the symmetry. And what does it fourth moment talk about? Fourth moment will also talk about the spread. So the data is away from the center, right? The data is away from the center. This is your center, and how it is away, how far it is away, and the data is between these two limits, right? Now if I try to, if I have a data like this and if I try to join like this, right, sometimes I might get a sharp peak, sometimes I will get a wider peak, right? So if I have a center and if I draw, if this is a spread now, see, if I try to join all the data points like this, if I get like, I can get like this, I can get a peak like this. So what I understand here, I have little spread or wider spread. So this will explain me how far is the data away from the center. The spread is less, sharper the peak, right? This is sharper peak, if you can see here. If you have sharp peak, positive kurtosis, right? If you have wider, see the wideness here, negative. Assuming the distribution is symmetric, the data is close to the center. So less amount of data, you can say lighter tails. So kurtosis is talking about the concentration of the data, how it is at the center. Skewness is talking about the spread of the data from the center either sides. Both together are called as shape statistics. If you can give me any example for this, let me tell you, I'll give you one, you can think about like that. These peak are daily commodities. Now you can say that highest sales now in COVID-19 and during lockdown days, you have sanitizers, masks, right, hand washes, they are at the peak, and all these plus your daily commodities, huge sales here. What are these? No, there is no maximum sales are not there, right? It's a wider now. What they require once in 3 months, maybe those products you can say, but these are having highest sales. Earlier, these products we used to give examples as like, you know, bathroom cleaners or sanitizers, right? And here this is all not daily, no sales for daily here. Here only every day, because many people are working and they are going out of their homes during this situation also. They are carrying sanitizers, right? They are carrying this and they want the daily needs, because of the scarcity, only few things are getting sold. The picture is changed now. Did you understand the concept? Any questions for third and fourth? Leave about this three. This is again excess kurtosis. That is not required for us. We are only checking the peak. So if you just do now kurtosis and skewness, right, you will understand the concentration of the data, you understand the spread of the data from the center, right? If a tail is heavier, negative. If a tail is like this, what we can say, narrow enough, then it is positive. Okay, now how do you calculate it in R? Is it clear? Can you please confirm? Is it clear? So how do you do here? You should do skewness and kurtosis, right? Normally, if you do skewness and kurtosis, how do you just spell it out? You can write the same spelling and you can work. But that is not available readily in RStudio. What you have to do is, you have to install Moments package. So what did I tell you? To install the package, go to tools, right? Install package, write Moments package, Moments name here. It's already there. It will not pop up for me. It will pop up for you people. Otherwise, write install.packages moments. So once you install the package, will it work? No. You have to invoke it into your environment. How do you invoke it? You have library moments. Right? You have one more option also. Not only library, you can use require also. But we don't prefer using require. Why? Because if at all there is no package available, right, it will just say yes, uploaded, but it will not give you anything. Library will give you an error if the package is not invoked properly. Require will not give you anything. So we will get to know only once you use it. Once we start writing our code and then using it, we'll observe that okay, that is not available. Still, it didn't throws any error. So always go for option of library of invoking the package into your environment. So how do you do now? It will throw error C now. Skewness of work experience. Work experience is not found. Why? Because I didn't attach it. Right? So what I have to do? I have to attach, right? Which data set? Education data set. Now if I do just work experience, skewness of work experience. See here, 2.603. It is positive skew. Right? Now if you do hist of work experience. See here. See the graph? What it is showing? Is it positive skew? Yes. Right? If you see kurtosis, 16. Right? So it is, how is the graph here now? With the histogram, we can't tell. Right? Because this is a graph. You have a peak, you have a tail, little bit of tail. So if you can connect to this, right? This is not matching because the data is not symmetry. If it is symmetry, we can understand properly, easily. Right? We have done bar plot, we have done dot chart, and remember what you are doing, all are your single variable plots. Single variable plots. What are single variable plots? Only one axis you are working. See, either GMAT or either work experience. You are unable to see GMAT versus work experience. You're getting my point. Either GMAT is visualized or work experience is done. Both are not done simultaneously. Like both, one is on X axis and one is on Y axis. How do you do probability distribution? I'll talk about this later, but see here, you have a density plot, no? The density plot is, if you want to use this function of density plot, you should install a package called using R. Right? So invoke this library using R. I don't know, it will work or not. Few things are not working in my studio. Run the density plot. If you observe, this is the values here. If you see the shape, it will be same shape. It's GMAT, not work experience, mind you. Right? Now you have one more plot called as box plot. Right? If at all any error is popping up for you, just Google it. If you want to use no skewness, skewness comes in a which package? You just get that package name, install it and work with it. Right? Now let me show you one thing. If I do histogram of GMAT, this is what I got. Now if I do mean of GMAT, if I do mean of GMAT, because already it is attached, I need not go for dollar symbol. I got 711. Now if I do median, 710. Right? Now if you do skewness, tell me what skew it will come. What skew is this? Negative skew, right? See, it is negative. See here also, see the graph. Negative side, you have a tail. Exceptions are towards your 600 left side. So what should you understand here? Your mean and your median, though they are equally near, but mean is greater than median, right? So though you have an option saying that if mean is greater than, people say that few of them have some like in their minds that mean less than median, left skew, mean greater than median, right skew. Sometimes that may go wrong. Never stick to such comments, right? So basically if you are looking into the formula, you have x minus mu whole cube, right? How do you calculate x minus mu whole cube is what calculated? How do you calculate expected value? X dot p of x sigma is your expected value. Now forget about this. Instead of x, you have x minus mu whole cube. This is a spread of the data from the center. When I have x is equal to very small, what happens to this? This becomes very small, means 0, negligible. You will get anything with respect to cube, it becomes a negative value. Very big value, but it is negative. Skewness is negative. But what we have seen here, mean greater than median. And mean is not being pulled towards it because of the frequency of the values which we have here, 750 around. But for mean calculation, what do? You do sum by total. Because of very high repeated numbers here, right? Very high repeated numbers, you have very good concentration here. And you have an exception at this side. So what I want to tell is, though these values, like don't stick to this mean greater than median, only very few times this will come correct. Right? Mean greater than median means a positive or right skew or negative skew. So very few times this will become correct. Right? We can always we cannot always say that mean gets influenced by exceptions. Now if you do kurtosis is also same thing. Right? So you have x minus mu whole to the power of 4 by sigma. Right? So depending upon the spread on the concentration of the data, you will say it is positive or negative. You have something called like box plot. So you have something called like box plot. So what does that box plot talk about? Box plot talks about everything, all the data is concentrated here. Okay. It represents 100% of the data. It comes like this. And any outliers in the data will be like these rounds. It is divided into 4 parts. Right? So here 25% and here 25%. Right? So this becomes 50, rest of them 50% of your data. This is called as lower extreme. This line is called as whisker. This is lower quartile. So here from here you give the objects Q1, Q2. This becomes your Q3. This is your Q4. This is called as first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, and fourth quartile. So it will internally arrange the data and it will take the minimum value and the maximum values. Whenever your box starts here, the box where it is starting here, it is called as Q1, lower quartile. Then you have the median Q2, that is a second quartile. The first quartile, second quartile. Upper quartile is Q3, and maximum quartile is your upper extreme, which is called as Q4. Right? So you have the dots coming up, which are nothing but your outliers. Right? So this region is called as interquartile region or interquartile range. So how does this box plot identifies outliers? Means it has one formula here, right? Anything which is, right, Q1 minus 1.5 into Q3 minus Q1, Q3 plus 1.5 into Q3 minus Q1, right? So you have this, right? Above this and less than this. If any value will fall, that is considered as outliers. So what is your interquartile region now? Interquartile region is Q3 minus Q1, which is nothing but IQR. Let me show you in R. It will be 1 minute. This is a box plot for your GMAT. And if you see here, three circles are only there, but this might not be three. Only three outliers are not there. Every circle might have n number of outliers. Right? There are more than three outliers, but it will represent in small number. So how do you know now? You should assign an object, and that y will give you 6 different values here. Right? But we are interested only in this out. Out represents outliers. So these many outliers are there, which are representing in 3 circles. You can even get this particular graph horizontally also. And what do you do here? You can just write box plot. This is univariate or bivariant? Tell me. GMAT. What should be true? Horizontal equal to T. So if you try to draw outliers, like this. So you get like this, right? Kind of graph. This is your median. Median is here. So this will give you the outliers in your data. So you can even know what is the length. What would be the length? Length of your y $out 12. So these are 12. Numbers are 12 here. 12 outliers. If you do it for just other variable, it is univariate, no? You have to do it for work experience separately and check. Are there any outliers in that? See here, so many outliers here. Oh my God. In the data for work experience. What is the interpretation you can say? You can check whether is the data symmetric or not. How is the concentration of the data? See, almost everything is between 500 sorry, 50 to some 65. Starting from here, 40 to 60, everything is there here. But one option is there, you know. What you can do is, you can do box plot of total education data set. You'll get everything in a single go. That option is there. This is the entire data. This is how your work experience looks, and this is your GMAT. Any questions here till now? Is it clear? You want me to explain anything? Okay. Others today, Shruti, Sarvesh and Vijay. Clear? Okay. So let's have a break of 5 minutes. Okay. What's the time now? 3:24, right? 3:30 will be back. I'll start a new topic. So what we are doing is, what we are doing is EDA part, right? We are trying to analyze the data. We didn't do here, if you go to the mind map, so where are we here? We have understood the problem, collected the data, and now we are doing EDA process. So in EDA, first moment business decision is done, where measures of central tendency is done. Then second moment business decision, dispersion, variance, standard deviation, and range. Third, skewness. Skewness is what called as shape statistics, negative, positive, and zero skew. Then fourth, right, kurtosis. Kurtosis also is equal to 3 means it is, this I'll tell you, normal distribution now. But it is negative kurtosis means platykurtic distribution. Wide peak, thick tails. Positive means lepto. Thin peak, thin tails. Univariate, right? We have graphs now, univariate graphs. So what did we discuss? You have bar plot, dot plot, right? You can even go for pie plot also. Pie chart will come for you. Histogram, density plot, and box plot. So I'll show you violin plot, strip plot, and these plots in Python. Okay. Candle plot, all this. This is for forecasting. These are univariate. Univariate means one axis will be the count, other axis will be your event. So we'll have to come across this. So it's nothing but an index plot, right? Index is there on one side. It is also called as univariate scatter plot. So this is about box plot. First thing is you have to identify outliers. So you will understand the shape, right? So you have minimum, first quartile, medium, third quartile, maximum, and interquartile range. So we'll come across this plot maybe today or tomorrow. Okay. So we are doing EDA. Then you should even do this data cleaning process, right? Then we have to go for data mining. So you remember I told you 80% of the time is only going to for 1, 2, 3. Only single line of code will be your machine learning algorithm. Okay, we'll be back after 10 minutes. Okay. So now we should understand the first thing. Okay. Here first, what is normal distribution? Okay. What is normal distribution? So when I'm taking a die, okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like option will be right. These are the, and the probability of we getting 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. Yesterday we have seen, right? You have like this. It is only same number 1 by 6. Right? And it is event on x-axis, probability on y-axis, and it is 1 by 6. This is nothing but uniform distribution. The spread is uniform, the chance of each number is uniform, and it is called as uniform distribution. Okay, now, but what is this normal distribution? What are the normal conditions? How can we say that the distribution is normal or not? Right? Let's take one example here. Okay, we are trying to calculate the height of the person. So height of a person is what data type? Continuous data type. Across the globe, if I want to take the height of a people and I put a condition of fully grown adults, I'll take an age of 20 to 40 years, right? So if I try to just calculate it and draw a type of graph here, maybe I get 2 feet, 3 feet, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So we have very few people who are 2 feet, who are 3 feet, right? Maybe a little bit of here, but I have from 5 to 6 maximum, right? And 7 very less again. Okay. And 8, 9 also I can just replicate 2 and 3, right? I can just do it like this, and like this, right? So what is the chance of a person who is 6 feet tall across the globe? Now, if you take this single bin, zoom it. If you zoom it, how many are there inside that particular bin of 2? I'm just talking about the visualization. If you just look into it, how many? Many, right? If you more zoom it and more zoom it, it becomes a spread like this. But this is only 2 feet people, right? Infinite number of possibilities are there, right? You're getting my point. Though it is being showing you a single bin of this size, but if you zoom it and more, it is infinite number. And if you take from 5 to 6 feet here, if you zoom it, how many possibilities are there? We don't know the count. We are just drawing as a number of people who are 5 to 6 feet people. And if you draw a line touching all this, it will be a what type of a curve? This type of curve is called as a bell-shaped curve. So how many heights I can plot on this axis? How many breaks are possible between 4 to 5 feet or 6 to 5 feet? The height, which is continuous data, you can say that infinite number of possibilities are there. Because height can be measured to any desired accuracy. 2.1.1, 2.1.1.2, 2.1.1.3. So we have infinite possibilities. This height, which is being a positive infinity number. If you take revenue of an organization, you can have a negative also, losses. Logically, losses can be anything. So if the first condition, any data set to become a normally distributed is that minus infinity to x to plus infinity. X being any continuous random variable. X can take any value from minus infinity to plus infinity. Is it clear? S can take any value from minus infinity to plus infinity. Agree with me? All of you? Do people agree? Not clear? Clear? Now, if I ask you what is the probability of calculating exactly 5 feet people? Exactly 5 feet tall. So how do you calculate the probability? Number of desired events by total. Desired events by total. So what is your desired event? 5 feet. That is 1. What is the total here now? Infinity is your total. Total number of possibilities are infinity because it is continuous data. 1 by infinity is 0. That's why when you calculate probability of any single value of random variable, it is 0. So I can't calculate probability of single value. I can't calculate probability of single value. Is it making any sense? Yes? No? Right? Now if you do the summation of this entire curve, right, probability of all this infinite number of values, it will be equal to 1. That is nothing but the area. So this particular height, when you are talking, you have so many number of values here. If I add all of them, it will be equal to 1. And it becomes the area under the curve. So what you have to remember, any data to be considered as a normally distributed. This is very, very important as a part of EDA. It should be, if it is a continuous, if the data is continuous data, it is like it will lie between minus infinity to plus infinity, and the probability associated with the single value will be equal to 0, and sum of all the probabilities will be equal to 1. If I talk about probability of one value, if I talk only a probability of one value here, area of a straight line, what it is? Area of a straight line is equal to 0. Right? And if you have like this is called as what type of graph? Symmetric graph. So what do you see in the curve? The center is mean, the spread will talk about the standard deviation. So any data, you have to check whether it is normally distributed or not. It's a bell-shaped curve. So statisticians, till here it is clear? Please quick S. Okay. So now when it is like this, it is a bell-shaped curve. Good. Now, statisticians, what did they do? You know, they have verified different types of calculations and they have come up with the numbers what you're seeing on my screen here. Something called like 1 sigma, 2 sigma, 3 sigma, right? So it's just like if you are going with a 1 sigma process, right? If you are going with 1 sigma process, It means that I have 100% of the data. So we will have, if you are working with 100% of data, 68.26% of the values will be there in your region. So how many are going away from the region? Region in the sense, this is your line, this is your mu. So this is your 1 sigma, this is your 1 sigma, minus and plus. So this is covering only how much? It's covering only 68.26. Rest of them are out of your way. Remaining data is falling above and below the lines, 40% of the data. Like that, if you go for, see here, 2 sigma, it is 95.44, 3 sigma 99.73, 4 sigma, 5 sigma, 6 sigma. Very less difference, right? So this is less like, it is a process oriented standard. The 6 sigma, it is nothing but a process oriented standard that manufacturing firms usually implement. So it started in Motorola organization. What exactly it talks about is that how to minimize the wastage and how to get the maximum benefits from the raw material. So it's a cover manufacturing process which is running at 3 sigma process, and the outage of power for a particular town, it was 7 hours per month. So the same organization which was running for 6 sigma process, the power outage was 34 years. So that's the significance the 6 sigma can give. You can see the difference between 3 sigma and 6 sigma. Right? This one, 3 sigma is 0.73 and 6 sigma is 0.99. Right? That small difference will give you this much huge difference in the output. So the definition of 6 sigma says that if you have 1 million opportunities, out of this 1 million opportunities, there would be 3.4 defects. For example, you are manufacturing 1 million cricket balls, 3.4 are defective. 4 balls are going wastage. So you are trying to streamline a process where we have less wastage. So if a process runs at 6 sigma, what is sigma? Sigma is about variation. So the organization, we are saying organization that whatever object is manufactured, so we don't have to exactly consider everything in the way. There is some variation in the product which can be accepted. The variation in the product will be accepted only for 6 sigma. So if you are giving that variation, you can accept more and more products. If I go for 6 sigma 99.9, it means that if I go with 1 sigma process, 68 balls are good, 42 balls wastage. For 2 sigma, 95 balls are good, others got wasted. You are understanding my point. So now representing normal distribution can be right. Normal distribution will be given by sigma and mu. So it depends on sigma and mu. All these are normally distributed only. Right? See, but different shapes here. All are bell-shaped curves, but they are different mu's and different sigmas. X is what? Random variable. What kind of random variable? For continuous data only, you check whether the data is normally distributed or not. How is the distribution represented? Tilde. The distribution of a continuous random variable, it is characterized by center mu and the, so it depends on the center and how is the spread. Multiple shapes here. Understood? So this is your normally distributed. So every time you get a data set which is continuous random variable, what you have to do? You have to check whether it is normally distributed or not. Okay, so how will you know that? Every time we can't go and check, right? We have to draw the graph, you have to check it. If it is continuous, check for normal distribution or not. Now, so rather than doing this lengthy process, Like you have many continuous variables, age, height, weight, money, profits. So many continuous values would be there. So when you're working on such type of data, you have to check for normal distributions. So what did you have to do? You have to check mu, you have to check sigma, check the graph. It's very difficult for us to check for every variable. So statisticians have worked on this, the lengthy process. Statisticians took one variable as a standard variable, and they said that we will call that as something called like z distribution, or it is called as a standard normal distribution. Remember, z is also a continuous random variable. So whatever properties are there for your x, what is x? Continuous random variable. All those will hold good for your z. So what is z called as? Z is nothing but standard normal variable. This is continuous random variable. Only one difference. But what happens, here, there you have x tilde normally distributed mu comma sigma. But here z tilde normally distribution, you have only two values, 0 comma 1. Mean is 0, sigma equal to 1. This is your standard normal distribution. This is your standard normal distribution. We use z distribution and we compare rest of the variables whether they follow normal distribution or not. So scale, see here, the shape, did it change? It will not change. Only the values will change here. 10 became 0 here. It will be the same replica of the input, whatever you are giving. But only if the scale will change. It will become a z scale. See whether the distribution is following normal distribution properties or not. So standard deviation being 1, mean being 0. Right? So what is the significance of z distribution in our case? If I want to know z is x is a x random variable is normally distributed or not, how will I check? How will you check that? I'll tell you that tomorrow. But now let us see how do you convert any x to z. So this is the formula. Now if you have x is equal to 990, what is mu here? This is your mu. What is sigma? How do you calculate sigma? 970 minus 950. Variation is sigma. 970 minus 950, 20. Right? 20 is your sigma. Got my point? So if I want to calculate probability for, let me write mu first, and sigma is 20. If I want to calculate probability of a single value, can I calculate it? I can't calculate because it is a single value. It will become 0, and it is a continuous distribution. We can't calculate it for continuous distribution. So we calculate range of values. So I should do less than or equal to 990. So this will come equal to this area. So how do you do that? You take 950, you take 990, f of x dx. So every time you get a new x, you have to do this. To make this easy, what we have done is we have done standardization. X value, from using x value with mu and sigma, we convert it into z. Instead of removing this. So what is x here? 990. What is mu? Oh, my bad. X is 990. Mu is what? 1010 by 20. This is equal to -1. So for x being 990 here, see here you got value as -1. X is random variable, it is following normally distribution. For every value of x, we have z on scale. Why we are doing this? What is the reason here? Because for every value here, we have to calculate. For every value, you have to calculate like this, area calculation. 1 minute, sorry, my bad. Every time you have to calculate like this. area. So it's difficult for us to take this area. So how do I do now? How do I write this equation now? Z sigma, which is equal to x minus mu. So Z sigma plus mu is equal to x. How do you write this? X is at a distance of Z sigma away from its center. So how many standard deviations away is a value from the mean? So x is minus 1 sigma, 1 standard deviation away from its mean. Which x? 990. That is the interpretation from this particular slide. Clear till here? Just let me know. What did we do? Did you understand? Why did we do also? Did you understand? If I ask you to calculate for 970, I can't calculate for 970. I should, because the probability becomes 0, infinity, right? We can't calculate for single value. So you calculate the area here, this one. For this area, you have to calculate. Single value, you can't calculate. You take of your own choice. So you should do 950, 970, your f of x dx. For any new value is coming, new f of x, you are doing this. Instead of that, you are doing standardization, taking mean, taking sigma, calculating like this. What is x here? X is your 970. What is mu here? What is sigma here? Sigma is difference between these two. What is that you get here? That is Ripple-Ka here. 7 minus 1 is 60. 3. Did we do something wrong? 950, no? We are calculating for 970 here. Did we do something wrong? 80, no? Okay. Sorry, my bad. Okay. You are just converting it. How do you represent that? Z sigma plus mu, which is equal to x. Minus 2 sigma times away from the center. It is minus 2 sigma times away from the center. Center is your mu, x is 970 or 950, whatever we have calculated for. This is your z distribution. But there's a way where you can do and consider how we can calculate whether the data is normally distributed or not. We'll check it tomorrow. Right? Right? So what we do is this is a GMAT data set, data what we have taken here, MBA data set. So from this, what actually I want, yesterday I gave you an example, right? If I want to market and do marketing to attract the students, right? GMAT scores are given to us and only with the defined information we have it. Now I have to draw strategies to attract students to my university. Now if assume you are the owner of the university, what are the strategies you are going to draw after looking this histogram? What strategies you can plan so that you can get the best of the best students, you're not going to the losses, right? And how do you filter out few profiles and what you will do? Think about it, let me know tomorrow. So I'll stop here because if I start here and what's the time, then yeah, it's completed, right? So tomorrow we'll do this and we'll also understand what we have, how we can find whether the data is normally distributed or not. Then we'll go for our data cleansing. Okay. So any questions till now? Here, I'll stop here.